Welcome back to Totem Pole Sports. I'm Coach Hutchings here with Coach Lambo, and we got the two-time state champion coach, Coach Billy Mills of the Dinwiddie Generals. Coach, how you doing today?
Good, good. How you doing?
Doing well. Glad to have you on here. So you tell Totem Pole Nation a little bit about yourself and how you started coaching or when?
Wow, a long time ago. I guess 90. I graduated offensive coordinator at Emory. Coach Self got me a job coaching linebackers at Holston High School in Southwest Virginia. Spent a year there. Then went to Northwood, and then got an opportunity to open the school up in Kentucky, in London, Kentucky, North Laurel High School, and spent, I guess, 4 years there. Moved up to defensive coordinator, and then the head coach left. I was a head coach there for a year, and then I went to Florida for 2, Bushnell, South Sumter, and then Saudi Daisy, Tennessee, and then I got my second head coaching job at Rockbridge County in Lexington, Virginia, and then spent 5 years there. I moved to Dinwiddie in 2005. That's a short version.
Yeah.
Did some traveling.
Yeah, we got actually little similarities there. I was on Southwest Virginia at UVA Wise, and then I moved to Florida and coached down in Orlando.
Yeah.
And then now back here in Chester, Virginia. So you pretty much are the master, from what I hear, about the air raid offense. And so we'd like to hear just a little about the history of the air raid offense, if you can give that to Totem Pole Nation.
I don't know about master, definitely not that. But I was a defensive coach for my whole life. Played defense in college, became a defensive coordinator, linebacker coach. I never even coached offense until I was kind of forced to. In my first head coaching job, lost my OC, didn't get a job at the school. You know how that goes with administrations and stuff. So had to kind of wing it myself. And then realized I need to get some help, and really just what gave me fits as a defensive coach, and what I hated. And we played a team when I was in Tennessee that they could, and then in Kentucky the same way, same situation. They can spread you out, go empty, and then shift back into 2 tights, 2 back, and just kind of gave you the extremes. And I knew I wanted to do something like that. So when I took the job at Lexington, I had a friend, he was at the Nashville Clinic of Champions in Nashville. It's a borderline of Memphis, somewhere in there, like 3-state area, Arkansas in there. And I was speaking at his clinic on defense, and beside me, Tony Franklin was speaking on the air raid. And the guy who ran the clinic had spent a lot of time with Hal Mummy and Tony Franklin when he was at Kentucky, and gave me a spiral notebook, the old school stuff, 92, 619. We don't even call them the numbers anymore, but all that stuff was in there. And I handed it to my offensive coordinator at Rockbridge, and I went back to coach defense. And then, we ran pieces of it, and then I got a new offensive coordinator who came from Bull County, Kentucky, and they were running some of the same stuff. But when I came to Dinwiddie, my OC went back to Kentucky, and he's now my O-line coach, Coach Davis. And but I was kind of forced to do it myself, so I got involved with the Tony Franklin system in 2006. Kind of out of needed some kind of. We were just meal piecing plays together, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the system. It wasn't as systematic as I was used to defensive. So we started running it. Went down. Actually picked up my coach. Went down to their camp. Told one of them. I followed Tony around. Me and the quarterback took the kids down there. And Neil Brown was the receiver coach, told my receiver coach to follow him around. And Matt Moore was the O-line coach, and told Buzz Edwards, who was my O-line coach, told him to follow him around. And we started doing it, and didn't know no better, just did what he said. Said to get after the screens, and we threw for almost 2,900 yards first year we had it, because nobody was used to those things around here. And the screens are still very important. We don't have to get as much of a bang out of them anymore, because that's what everybody pretty much expects us to do. But that was kind of where we started from, and it's kind of evolved over the years with the tempo, and then kind of where we're at right now with the RPOs and the shots downfield, and kind of what we kind of evolved to with the skill sets that we got.
Tell us about an influence that Mike Leach and Tony Franklin had made an impact on you as far as you coaching the game of football.
I follow Mike Leach, read his book, but other than kind of watching him in practice, when you know what, I don't even think he may have already left for Oklahoma then, but didn't really get spend a lot of time around him other than just watching him over the years. But being with Tony, I talk to Tony almost weekly. We're still in touch. I'm supposed to speak on his podcast here in the next week or so. But Tony's a friend of mine. I mean, Tony came up and watched our game against Hopewell last year or 2 years ago, and he's just I've kind of stuck with him over the years. I felt like that every year, people were like, "Why are you going back? It's the same offense." It wasn't, and it really wasn't. Like, I'm a lifetime member of his stuff now. It was because it evolved over the time. It wasn't just mesh and stick and spot and those spacing stuff. I mean, there's more. There was a whole lot more to it than that. And every year he'd go do kind of what we do, is go find some people and that we're interested in, that kind of meets the talent that we got, and go spend time with. Well, Tony kind of made that thing, like he said, you want to go to a clinic and leave that clinic with something that you can actually use instead of pieces of it. And that's where we got the tempo back before anybody was doing that. And then the RPOs were back in when Hogerson was still at just leaving Texas Tech. So we've kind of been ahead of the game on those things for a while. It's kind of all evened out now, but he's continuously trying to grow as a coach, and even though he's retired, he's not really retired. So that's kind of why I kept going back, and to be honest with you, our kids bought into it so much back in 06, 07, 08, because that's when we went to our first state championship. I mean, it's kind of expected, that we're working with him, and even though we've kind of steered away from where we kind of started, I think we just more or less evolved to it. We still do a lot of the stuff, the shallows and the cross, and we still run all the concepts, but it's mainly just getting our quarterback out there in the spring and kind of seeing what he feels comfortable doing. And we have some non-negotiables, that if you're going to throw the RPO game, you got to be able to throw it down the field and throw the switches and the four verticals and those things. And but finding the concepts that my quarterback's comfortable with, and running the football.
Yeah, and so you mentioned you didn't spend too much time with Mike Leach, but do you think that Mike Leach had a lot of influence on Tony Franklin in terms of the air raid?
They were all kind of intertwined there. When Hal Mummy and Leach went to was at Iowa, the junior college. Tony had took some kids up there because Tony was a high school coach in Kentucky. And they kind of linked up there. And then when Hal Mummy came up from Valdosta to Kentucky, that's kind of, when they all kind of got together there, and Leach was the receiver coach. He wasn't the quarterback coach at Kentucky. He didn't coach Tim Couch. And see, I played, I didn't play against him. I coached against Tim Couch when I was up in Kentucky. And when I went down to Florida, I can still remember, and I love Bill Curry to death, but, still remember them running the option against Florida. And just, Tim Couch is getting lit up. And I'm like, it's not make no sense. And, when Hal Mummy came up there and so I knew kind of what the state of Kentucky football was because I'd been there for 4 or 5 years and saw what he did. It kind of clicked with me that, young coach wanting to be a head coach, going to take over a program that's probably not going to be in good shape. Probably going to take some time to get them where they need to be in the weight room and those type of things. And, but he was having success in Kentucky, with a, probably not a 4 or 5 star offensive lineman. He's still getting it done. So it intrigued me, because I knew that, I'm not patient enough to lose a bunch of games and then try to win. So I, try to win right away with what we got, and, kind of smoke and mirrors with the screen game and the passing game until we got our, strength program going to where we can kind of be a little bit more matched up with people. But, they kind of all intertwined there a little bit. Mummy coached quarterbacks along with Chris Hatcher, but he's definitely a, brilliant mind. I mean, I don't, he definitely sees the defense as well. I think he kind of, I would say we'd call it RPOs, but, with this check system, kind of like I feel I try to do with our quarterback is I spend a ton of time with him from January to August, and I turn him loose and I go coach linebackers and, kind of coach him up on what he's looking for on his RPOs and stuff. And that's kind of what Leach did with the check system. And a lot of those times he just, makes that little check mark and, the quarterback's calling those plays. And, that's the guy that you want to have the best view of things. And so, definitely was a brilliant mind when it comes to offensive play calling, no doubt. Wish he probably, I got a ton of respect for him. He probably would have if he'd ran the ball a little bit more, he probably would have won more games. But you gotta love him. He stick with these guns, done what he does. Did it for years and ton of success. So,
What was it like to coach against Tim Couch, the #1 draft pick?
Frustrating. I mean, it's be like watching a, college guy play against a middle school team. I mean, it's just, he's just picking us apart. You tell the game's very slow for him, but yeah, he lit us up 2 years in a row. Incredible player. Then he went to Cleveland and they decided how to show him how to throw, even though he'd thrown for like 3 miles, so I mean, his arm up. So he's a hell of a player, no doubt.
Can you tell us about your experience with Tony Franklin in the air raid offense?
Yeah.
So how about, just your basic passing game, like for any young coaches that might be watching, just how to kind of where they might start?
Everything is so everything's tied up into the RPOs. The one thing that I like about what Tony's done with the new system, because it used to be just 17 years of information, it was really overwhelming. And I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being a first time client for him and getting all that mess and trying to figure out what to do with it. But he's kind of streamlined everything now, and it's pretty impressive. But kind of what you would do if you start out, and he's even got a thing where he's talking about if I was a high school coach again, knowing what I know now, this is what I would do. And it's pretty impressive. But starting out, and Tony used to have guys call me because we had, I was fortunate to have a record-setting quarterback, and Adam Morgan came through for a ton of yards, and just a tough kid. And so I had, it still always comes down to players, but everybody that would call me, it's I'm telling you, got to throw the screens. You got to throw the screens, even when they don't work. You got to throw the screens just because it stresses the defense out. And it's somewhere over getting started with that. It kind of clicked with me as a coach, and pretty much from that point on, I'm calling plays off of what the defense is doing and how it's affecting them. And we go from teaching quarterbacks coverage to I don't even talk to. We don't. My quarterbacks know what cover 1 and 0 and 2 and 4 and all that stuff is, but we don't even talk about coverage. It's always about grass, and it's just so simplified and slowed down. But quick game. I think you got to have stick in, and be able to do things out of multiple formations, and be able to play fast with it. Keep it simple, and depending on where your quarterback is, concept wise, whether you're going to go straight progression, or where you're going to give him one read. I mean, I think it really comes down to what your quarterback can do. But quick game, stick, spacing, easy spacing, and spot route. I think you got to be able to do those, and the slants. But like we don't have. I rarely ever call a quick game play by itself anymore. It's always a quick game or a screen attached to the backside, or it's a run game with a quick game tag, or we got a fast screen tag, a quick game tag on one side, fast screen on the other side with a run play. And that's really all we do anymore. And that, and we'll go play action and throw it down the field. But it started with that with the fast screens. I can remember back when we first started this, starting with our middle school program, we're going to throw 41, 42, 43, which are fast screens to the right, and then 51, 52, 53, 54, fast screens to the left. And that's kind of where we started. And then we did the jails, the quick game, like I said, and then it was 90 was our shallows, 92 was our mesh, and then 94 we used to run the sail, and then 95 the cross, 96 was all curls, 97 was 4 verticals, and then 98 was our just our speed out to the outside. Now that's kind of all condensed. We kind of got the cross and the sail together. There's a lot more tags to it, less concepts with more tags. So, it's I think it's easier now than when it was when we first started, but it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, and like we do every year. I mean, our quarterback this past year threw for 2,000 yards, rushed for 2,000 yards. He was our starting tailback last year. I didn't know if he could throw it at all, but he picked it up really quick and had a good year. So, I would, if I had a choice, I'd come in where I'm at now with it.
Hey, can you draw up a fast screen to show us an example of what it's like now?
Okay, well, you want it like it is now or like it was then?
Like it was then, and then also like now, if you can see the kind of what the differences are.
I don't know if y'all can see it or not.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so like I said, back before, base wise, that was your 1, your 2. So 41, 42, and then the third receiver would be 43. If we had trips, the wide, that third receiver would be 43, and the back would be 44. So this was going to the right. And we used to call it that way, but if we had grass to this side, like we got a lot of that and a lot of that. So his job was to push flat and get right in front of this guy, get his, we talk about wide base, fast feet, get his feet wide base. And we talk to our guys about, blocking with their feet, and not, basically, just like basketball, play defense with your feet, block with your feet. So we're just looking for a shield. That's all we're doing. If we can get a shield, then we're talking to this guy about, we expect you to make one of these guys miss. You got to earn your money, if you want to be one of these guys. If you can't make one guy miss out here, then we're in trouble. But that would be a fast screen to that side. We could get help with this guy if we wanted to by making a boss call, and he would chase. He rarely ever got there, but he would chase that guy's inside hip, and sometimes we'd get a cut off of it. Now, the line, to be honest with you, I never liked the line going play side. We would tell them to go ahead and run stretch, which would be over the back through the crotch to that side. They usually get out here and hold or do something. We got a lot, depending on what you were doing defensively. If you're playing, like you guys do, get those ends up the field real fast, then we're going to try to get a piece of that guy. Try to keep his hands down so we get the thing off. If you're more of a, facing in the V of the neck and read and react off of it, then we'll go back. We'll go backside with it and pull you that way and flash the back across this way. But that's how we did it then. It would pretty much be mirrored to both sides. If you gave us that look, we'd go 1. If you gave us, more of a 2 high look with an apex linebacker right there, we would go ahead and run 2. We'd run the bubble, and I definitely would most of the time boss that because he has a better chance of getting there. And then his role is, if my screen's inside, I'm head up the most dangerous. So he would be here, but ready for really anybody to come on either side of with their fast screens. I love the fast screens, getting your quarterback when your quarterback has the aha moment and realizes he throws that thing out there and that guy gets 8-9 yards. I mean, that's a big play for us. And like I said, anymore, like that's our front side of a run play. So if we're running zone, that side, then we'll have a fast screen on the backside, and we may have an out concept or something to that side. But I'm always talking to them about throw it, especially into the boundary. So many teams, leave one guy out there and say the boundary is going to be that extra guy, but we're always getting 6, 7, 8 yards a chunk throwing those boundary screens like that. So that's kind of what we're doing with it now. If I get man across, or if I can go motion, which motion behind them, and I get no movement, and that's 3-on-2, just like basketball, fast break. He's going to throw that. Same thing with trips. We get trips to that side. And what we've done now, we started doing this about, I guess about eight years ago, is we don't even tell them which one to throw. I mean, when you really think about it, when the quarterback throws the ball on a fast screen, it's all kind of going in the same place. So these guys out here will make up, we coach them up on film and give them different scenarios throughout the off season and in season. But it's just like, I was a linebacker, but I also played a little wishbone tackle back in the day. I don't know what wishbone is probably, but me and my guy here, we had calls. We're always finding the best leverage for the block. And that's basically what the receivers got going on out here is, if I got this look, with one guy playing over the top, then he'll get in front of his toes. He's got grass back there. They're kind of making the call, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 on who's getting the screen. Yeah, and based on the leverage. I mean, we can crack it, go that way with it, but and that's what we really like, especially out of trips, is go fast screen to this side and what we call our gift on the backside. So, depending on how you're playing your trips, we'll get a lot of this. And then, we usually get pretty much the same look with the quarter. But we'll go inside on the slant or we'll go outside on the snap. But it really depends on where this guy is, that 7th defender right there, where they're putting him. Sometimes people will blitz him off the edge. We get a lot of that. Or they'll try to rotate him back or rotate the corner over and play this look with us. Well, we throw that all day. We got fast screen to that side with a running play. So every time our quarterback comes up line scrimmage, there's 3 options to go every time. It's just option football is all it is. Just a different way of doing it. Instead of dive, keep pitch, it's screen, quick game, run. So, and he still has once he makes that decision, like I tell him, you have a pre-snap, and most of the time, I get carried away with it. If I feel like I'm overwhelming him, then I'll just go pre-snap, or you're going to go to your run read. Like some of our run plays, he's going to decide he's going to throw the screen or there. That's pre-snap. There is no post-snap. Post-snap will be his edge read if it's zone or, something of that nature.
Yeah, so it sounds like you spend a lot of time, just coaching these guys up, you said, from January all the way until the season starts. So how do you coach, what would you say to your quarterbacks just to be able to get that run quick or screen, each time, just how you can kind of put it in their head, some techniques you might use?
I don't, I'm not a complicated guy anyway, but I don't try to make it complicated. I talk to them like, you're in the backyard, you're playing 4-on-4 pickup game, who you going to throw the ball to? That's the way I have them look at it. As they do their scan, they're going to go do their normal scan, deep, left, middle, right, and then underneath, left, middle, right, and then back to left. But that's what it comes down to, is where's your grass. And we spend a ton of time with me watching, taking the film, different formations, pausing it. Okay, we got this going on. Not even watching the play, just watching the defense's alignment to the formation. And we talk about taking what's easy. I said, what's easy here? And when, what Tony says about it, I'm following what he says. Is easy as if, Coach Mills could throw that ball and complete it. That's easy, and you always, when you give your quarterback that kind of leeway, it's scary sometimes, and you got to let him mess up. But, when it clicks with him, he can, especially when you got one that can run like ours does, he can do a lot of damage.
What do you call play action protection that is full side with the offensive guard pulling the kick out?
Lincoln, Reagan. I mean, that's really it.
Can you go over that real quick?
And my O-line coach will kill me, but yeah. And my O-line coach, he's, I'm telling him, I'm like, where you want the back to help out? And he's like, we don't need him. He's gonna mess things up, But really, we go Lincoln. This guy's pulling back to the left, and we're just kind of basically getting butt right. And this guy will go ahead and really, he's going to check B, but he's going to end up setting the block there. And then the back is going to, really getting those guys to do a better job of really selling selling the run play. And then he's going to help out A, B, C, to the backside right there. But we really just tell him to take most dangerous. Same thing we would tell him on any of our pass protection, because we have 5-man protection in there, and this guy, if he tells him to stay, he's just really looking to help, or he's going to chip a guy. If they got a war daddy out here, he'll end up chipping on that guy to to frustrate him a little bit. But really just getting them to ride that in there. We run the ball so much with that look. We're a big counter trade team. So they see that a lot. We run a lot of power. So they see that a lot, and it kind of slows them down a little bit. We also run a screen off of that to the backside. So, having whatever our runs are, having a play action off of it, and we do a lot of condensed sets. You saw us play. We'll bunch it up in there.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about what routes you would run in that play action protection.
Yeah, most of the time, we're running either 4 verticals, or we're running switch, or we'll run what we call peel with a kind of a bang 8. And then this guy will run a shoot wheel with it. He runs a middle curl. But that's really all we're running with it is that. We'll run 4 verticals. We'll condense both sides, and we'll run shallow with 4 verts and give Y, pretty much leeway of the whole side of the field over there, depending on what kind of wheels our Y has. But, we also get in this a bunch of times, and we're just running stretch, so, you kind of getting the same look, for the first, 2 or 3 seconds of the play. So it helps us. We in the state championship game, we actually ran this, and they didn't cover any of them. We had 3 guys running down the field by themselves. So I mean, it's being able to condense those in there with that play action, that was big. Also getting our running back to understand that when quarterback pulls it to throw on a post snap read, to really do a good job of selling that run play and busting it up in there. Kind of the old wing T concept of, making the first 4 or 5 steps of the offense look the same on 4 or 5 different plays. Look the same on 4 different plays. Kind of getting that action going on with them. And that's been a big sell, not being an easy read for the defense.
Who are you affecting on the play action? Are you affecting the safeties, cornerbacks, or the linebackers?
Both the safeties and the linebackers, pretty much. When you condense sets like that, you're pretty much forcing that corner to be an edge guy, depending on where they put their outside backer. And don't know why, but people have a hard time. We sort it out defensively. We talk to our guys about, we're zoning that up, and we're going to have you, you take what comes to you and not worry about where, they start switching up receivers. They're going to have to come to one of you three guys. So, but really just getting those linebackers to, freeze those guys and be able to get that cross. But where we had most of our success has been with the outside receiver and the number 2 receiver, either running the straight verticals or switching those routes, run a switch route.
And can you draw up the classic system jailbreak for us, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah.
Hey, you say you ain't the master, man, but we're learning a whole lot over here, and I know Totem Pole Nation definitely is.
Same deal as far as I'll go 2 by 2 first, but it was the same deal starting off. 41 jail, 42 jail. If you had trips, 43 jail. And if you could have quads, go 44. But the basic outside guy, and I guess the first time we started doing this is kind of by accident, because we had some, guys really pick up on the reads and stuff. They saw it when the quarterback would pump fake. I mean, we get quarterback would pump fake to that swing route, and the whole damn defense would just take off back toward the screen. So there wasn't nobody buying that. So started having the quarterback go take a 3-step drop. And then after you take that 3-step drop, then he would drift and throw the screen. And what we started noticing is they didn't care that he was running over here, so we just had him throw it. And now that's all we do. We don't ever teach just a one side. So we'll get fast screen to this side. So basically, like we said a while ago, 53 on that side. And we'll, sometimes we'll motion him out there. We'll go behind motion. We'll even do it with empty with another receiver. So he's got that option. He'll take that 3-step, and sometimes you don't even take a 3-step. What our quarterback now got, what he likes to do is he'll just check the grass. He knows he's throwing it, and he'll just catch and throw. Over here, if this guy's running it, really depending on what kind of leverage he's got. Y'all still see that?
That looks good.
All right, if he's got an off man, or if a guy playing off maybe 2 by 7 or 2 by 5, he's going to push up 1, 2, 3 steps. He's going to stick that foot in the ground, and this is big because receivers will get lazy about it or get anxious and try to shortcut it. We'll end up getting linemen downfield. We get busted for that all the time. So he's got to retrace, run back 3 steps, and he's coming right down the line. So we had that look here, and we spend a ton of time we have a screen period every day. We got 2 screen periods every day. We have right after pack and go, we have a screen concept that we're working on, depending on whatever I feel like we're going to be using the most in the game, where we just have our backs and the receivers and a shell of a skelly. And then we have a 11-on-11 screen period every day. And, because I think you got to be good at the screens to really be able to do this stuff well. Otherwise, your quarterback's going to get teed off on. And, I think it's a much bigger mismatch in high school between these guys and these guys on D-line, than there is in college. So it's even worse sometimes. But we tell this guy here, you're going to push up 2, and then go flat. But these guys have to be pretty sharp or pretty savvy about it, because like a lot of times we'll get those corners that'll take those deep read steps and sink, and we're just wasting somebody sending them out there. And then in the meantime, these are your studs usually in defense. And whether you're 3-4 or 4-4, those guys are screaming downhill and blowing everything up. So we tell our why that you're going to hold that guy and, until you have to come off of it. And we've had times where that corner sinks and we're holding this guy and we end up with a lineman out here on that guy, but he stays on him as long as he can. Now, if that guy's up, that's a different story. Okay. If he's up here playing and we got cover one or man, then what we want him to do is take an outside stem set, all right, to step on that guy's outside foot and push his hip like he's running an out route, and then break that thing like an out route, like a 2-yard snap, and then go kick that corner out. And a lot of times, if it is man, we'll get that backer to chase. But he's got to give this guy a chance. Now, these guys, we've done it. We actually still do it 3 different ways. Every now and then my O-line coach say, let's go old school with it, which means we're just vertical setting. We're going to flash our hands, and then we're releasing everybody. We'll release all 5 of them. So this guy will release and go what we call flat for 5. He'll release, go flat for 5. He'll release, go flat for 5. He'll release, go flat for 5. And then this guy will vertical set, release, and he'll be your trash guy. He'll pick up that guy. If they have a defensive end that's retracing his steps or coming back downhill with it. Now, we say flat for 5, and this is the hardest thing we have, just coaching the All-Star game, and I was supposed to be helping Jim with the O-line, and didn't do a very good job. But these guys should be almost like a defensive run, chest to the end zone, and we tell them they do have landmarks. We talk about the sidewalk, the alley, and then the hole right here, or the hole of the alley. But if you get somebody across your face, you go ahead and pick him up. I told him I don't care if all 3 of you block one guy, because I don't know how many times I've seen it. Back when I coached O-line in Kentucky, we'd have 3 linemen out here on the screen, and one guy would go make a tackle, and those 3 just thought the other guy was going to get it. I said, you take most dangerous guy, but if all is good, then you go ahead and take the sidewalk, you take the alley, or the hole, you take the alley, and the quarterback will 3-step drop, and then he'll drift, get up on his toes, try to hit him up on his upfield shoulder, then he'll re-release and throw the screen. If you got 3 receivers, it's the same exact thing. The 2 inside receivers will do the same thing to that side. If you have we actually scored in an All-Star game with y'all's guy on that. Is it Amin?
Yeah, Jay Sean, yeah.
He scored y'all got Dale on that too, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what me and my brother was coaching. I told him the offensive game plan is get that ball to number 5.
There you go. Now, if we go inside receiver, whether it be the number 2 or the number 3, then we'll do what we call a bubble gel. He'll take off this way. He'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stick his outside foot in the ground, and then he's coming back downhill. These guys have the rule of head up the most dangerous guy if the screen's inside of them. And then you still got the same thing on the backside. Now, we'll go ahead and run this guy on a 5 and friendly. We call a friendly route where this guy can go here, and that's big with what we're doing now is teaching those guys how to adjust that route based on their defender. And then this guy will still run his swing, and we still throw the quick game off of 3, or we can come back downhill to that. Now, the alternate way to block it is if you got guys that are really coached up and you got some really good speed at defensive end, where when these guys vertical set and they feel them leave, they come back in and blow it up, then we'll go ahead and high wall both those guys, set, punch and shot, put them up the field on both sides. And we'll just release our inside guys. Same concept. We just won't have a trash guy. But we'll do that both ways with that. And then the play, really the receivers, whether we're running the jail, our run screen, or our power screen, they're doing the same thing the receivers are. So it's crossover on the concept there. Their rules are the same no matter what screen we're running.
Can you explain the base runs to running back to QB in the zone gap trap?
And so, like, your base runs out to the running back or the quarterback. Is it going to be like, are you doing zone? You doing your gaps? Or are you doing like trap in terms of your base?
Well, we run zone and gap, but we run the outside zone. That's our big play. We've always been an outside zone team, 1 and 2 back. He's reading above the tackle. We usually have a play side screen and a backside screen attached to it. These guys over the back through the crotch. Nobody gets after your second, third step, then you're going to go ahead and get vertical with it. And depending on who the quarterback is, that's his base read. It's his backside guy. Never had one pull it that way. The one we got now has pulled it a couple of times up in here, kind of read the linebacker, and made big plays for us. That's the outside zone. We can do that with the back, the quarterback, any of the receivers. We run that with those. And then the inside zone, attacking the inside hip of the center to that side. And he's going to, bang. We call bang. It could be bang, bounce, or bend. I don't like bounce because it usually don't end up well. So we go bang or bend there. Quarterback read the backside end. If we want to lock this backside tackle on either one of those, we can. I haven't seen much difference on throwing the backside RPOs either way. Matter of fact, sometimes when we lock the backside, he ends up getting away sometimes. So, I think
So what are the O-line rules? They're just going covered. Like if they're covered or they go uncovered, they're just stepping, to that direction. Just in terms of your normal zone.
Yeah, covered, uncovered. They take your steps. I don't mess with those guys. I got 2 great offensive line coaches, and be honest with you, I don't pay much attention to what they actually are calling it. But they're pretty simple rules. I know. We don't do I know a lot of zone teams will do a lot of tags, do a lot of calls. We're not big on that. It's pretty much head up, the outside shade's your guy, and we will do some foldovers with an inside shade, but I don't mess with the zone stuff too much. The outside zone I do. The inside zone's kind of new to us over the last 4 or 5 years, and I kind of leave all that stuff to them. But our gap game is is our counter. We'll run our inside counter. We're inside trap. We're a big inside trap team. I don't even think I'm calling it that much. And then I look at our I look at our calls, and it seems like I've called it a ton. Inside trap, we're just releasing outside guys, the linebacker. Sometimes we'll tag him on there. These two guys blocking down, just like it said, or we'll run the power. If we got that third guy, and we started using like this guy. This has been a big moment for our offense. Is our middle linebacker is really good, really smart kid, but he's really football smart too. He's a rare, but we use him as this H back, or we put him on the tie as a true tight end. We run power with him, but I don't unless I get a Tim Couch come through here. It kind of worked out this way with Harry. We knew Harry could run it. We didn't know he could. We didn't know, it was really unknown whether he'd pick up the passing game like he did, but he has. And it's been great. But I'll always have a quarterback that can run. And I just think defensively it's a bear to defend when you got to worry about him running the ball 8, 9, 10 times a game. And people say, you worry about your quarterback getting hurt and everything. There's certain games that I ain't gonna run him at all. We'll spend that time working on other stuff. But in the big games, he's gonna carry it 15, and that's really always been the case with our guys. But when we went to like the kid who was supposed to be the backup quarterback this past year, I moved him to X. He actually had a big year. Got an offer from Virginia State, but all three of our quarterbacks could start at running back, and we're just fortunate to have two really good ones in there. So when you have that set along with those receivers out here, it's really a 2-back offense, and they still got to defend the field. So we'll always have a guy that can run in there. And the quarterback counter and the regular counter, with the pull a tackle, he'll run and read the backside in, or we'll have him run it as well. Again, with RPOs, we don't have, and that's kind of how my quarterback knows when I don't want him to throw. I want him to hand it off because I don't tag anything. He knows, all right, it's kind of our communication there without, having to mess him up. But that's really all of our running game. We'll run veer, which is kind of a compliment to our zone. Depends on how well we were running that. And we kind of came on with that at the end of the year. We didn't run this. Actually, the first time we ran it was the finals. Is we just go straight from there. And sometimes we'll give him a pitch man, sometimes we won't. But that's a big compliment to our zone game, when we're able to run the zone.
Yeah, so in that veer, do you stick to all the same zone concepts, or you turn it into like more of a wedge block where they're kind of coming down on both sides?
I'd have to really ask my O-line coach, but it's pretty much, we're gonna, like, sometimes he'll block, he'll end up with a double or a head up, but it's a wedge block. I prefer the wedge block because I want him to really chase the butt of that tackle, the running back, and really put stress on that defensive end. I want him to hand it off. I think it's still one of the best plays in football. And, best thing you can do versus a War Daddy defensive end is, don't block him. Make him think.
Yeah.
And, make him read the whole game. Freeze his feet.
Who's the best coach you've gone against, and why?
Troy Taylor, because he steals our signals.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to go against when he's seeing what you're doing.
It's Troy made me a better coach.
Yeah. How do you know he's stealing the signal? You just see him over there.
Troy's yelling the plays from the other side. You hear him. So we had to go to a dummy call guy.
Yeah, there was one game. I'm just tangent. They got so mad at us when we were yelling. It wasn't because we were going to see this. This the tackle was giving it away every single play. You could see him. He had 1 foot back when it was a pass. He had both feet even when it was a run. And so we just knew run, pass, run, pass. And I remember just the other coaches and players get so frustrated with us on that.
Troy's helped me out a lot in some of our common opponents. And, seeing stuff that, I'd have just never noticed, some big time stuff. He does a great job with that. Offensively, probably Meadowbrook, 2008 or 2007, Meadowbrook. They just smacked us in the mouth. Taught us some good lessons about how to handle success the hard way. But I feel like that. I mean, really, honestly, some of our best adjustments to our overall offense or defense has really come about with, a loss here, a loss there, and really kind of looking back and reflecting on those and seeing, because I mean, I hate to lose worse than anything, and it kind of makes you adjust things and see things that you may not have seen. So I always scrimmage you guys and Oscar Smith and Green Run. We scrimmage the best teams we can find. I want to find out before game one some of these things that sometimes don't show up. They kind of slip through. So probably those guys. The defense, I don't know. You guys are probably too young for that, but the Matoka defense in 05, 06, and Lake Taylor. Lake Taylor puts everybody on the line of scrimmage. It's really unique, something you don't ever see. You don't expect them to do it. But it's not all out blitz every play. Those guys are reading, and it's tough as far as blocking angles go. So those teams really made us better. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons we beat Warwick, because they did the same thing. They had a really good defense, but they try to match up with you. So it made us do some things with tempo and sugar huddle, and get those guys running around, and they lost some guys here and there on those things, and making those guys think and slowing them down a little bit.
And what do you like if we got stuff walked up cover zero? What would be your go-to?
Fade. We do that go every week, every day, and I'm an asshole when it comes to that. And I tell the quarterback in January, I'm like, look, that's what they're going to do when we go RPO. I said, that's the answer to go man and go either cover one or cover zero. And I said, if you don't have an answer for that, then they're going to be able to outnumber us in the box, and we're not going to do well. And So, you know, we're on them every day about giving them different leverages as far as the corner goes, working the press. I mean, we probably we don't get pressed as much, but our guys are good at getting off the press because they work it every day. And whether we're going to see it or not, and learn how to deal with off man and how to stem them, how to influence the guy, how to stack the receiver, you know, how to move to where you're catching the ball with your outside shoulder, and little things about looking the ball into your fingertips and not keeping your hands below your body where you get that blind spot, but looking it into your hands over your outside shoulder, looking it into the tuck, teaching the quarterback that you don't have to throw it, you know, 70 yards down the field. That we just need you to complete the thing 20 yards, 25 yards. And, you know, really not allowing those guys to funnel you out of bounds, but to give that quarterback that whole 9 yards from the numbers to the sideline to where they can fade to the ball. So it ain't got to be a perfect throw. You know, zero. If you give me zero, I'm going to motion you. I'm going to return motion you. I'm going to make you guys run around. I'm going to see if you're going to chase. Then we can come back with our jail off of it to that side, or I can get you one-on-one. We're going to hit posts and wheels. Just your normal man beaters, shallow. You know, it amazes me probably more so this past year how many people went zero against us, but didn't really come after a quarterback. Like it didn't make. I'm a defensive coach. You know, you're leaving those DBs back there covering forever. You know, and not really. But sometimes people will take easy, and you know, then it just becomes a matchup situation. And you know, you got four lockdown DBs, and you got something. You know, one of those guys is going to be the weakest guy. We're going to try to match up our best on him, and you know, get one cheap. But you know, yeah, zero. We'll go spacing, which is all hitches, or you know, those inside guys are a little bit deeper. But I'll have him. You know, I'll ask him who's your guy, and I said, well, tag him on a corner or tag him on a post, and we'll run spacing. You tag that guy, and this becomes catch and throw. And a lot of times you'll get a completion or you'll get a penalty because those guys are pressing and you know they're holding, and you know it's a good deal for us. And I try to tell the quarterback, I said, look, even if you throw it 10 yards over their head and we don't complete the thing, just the understanding those guys have that, hey, they'll throw it down the field on us. And, you know, they don't want to get beat deep. So it kind of softens them up a little bit.
What's your advice to young coaches in today's game?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, say you got a brand new coach just coming into your program, you know, just fresh out of college, you know, what would you try to say to him to kind of either buy into your system or just things that he should probably know just kind of going into it to be the best coach that he can be in his first year?
Well, you know, try to run it, you know, everybody on my staff, man, I got a great staff. All those guys have of course they have a position, you know, they got a responsibility. But we kind of break it up, and I want their feedback. We didn't, you know, y'all ain't gonna believe this, but we didn't have one coaches meeting last year, not one. And now we'd have little powwows here and there, you know, 4 or 5 minute sessions or something like that, or we'd get together. But you know, I want those guys fresh and coming in being enthusiastic, and just get them to understand our system and what we're doing, and coach those guys up and hold the kids accountable and get them to own what they're doing. And you know, that would be, you know, I was a head coach, I was an assistant, and of course, you know, when I was an assistant before I became a head coach, you know, I knew it all in my head. I thought I did, and then I became a head coach and realized how much I didn't know. And then I went back to being an assistant again for 8 years and or 4 years. And I think I was a better assistant because of that. I've had my O-line coaches went off and been the head coach and come back. And he's told me that he feels like that you kind of know where I'm coming from. So he knows, when you got 18 parents, up your hind end about this, that, and the other, he kind of knows that look. He knows what's going on. He'll kind of jump in there and help out. And I think that's the best scenario. But don't get caught up in schematics. It's really about technique and developing your players. Every play is designed to, I don't care what offense you run. I like running this offense. I love this offense. There's a lot of guys winning a lot of games running the wing tee. And there's a lot of guys winning games running the wishbone. And, it's really about finding out what best fits your kids and then coaching those guys up, not confusing them, being consistent with it. And like it is with us now, I mean, our kids from 6th grade, I would say, no, even before that, whatever the juniors are, and even down to the minors, they're running our offense from 6 years old on up. And, every year you're getting to teach that little detail and what it really comes down to. Coach, every high school coach should coach O-line. I think you don't really understand the game until you have to coach those guys. And, don't get caught up in, and sometimes, you get a coach that's been a really good player and he coaches that position and it kind of gets locked into that for life. And some coaches want that, but I encourage them to learn everything about our offense and defense if they can, to go out. My receiver coach will go to Clemson. I'll send him out where they want to go, who you want to go see. And, how is that going to make us better? How's that fit our kids? But I mean, when I first started, one of my fraternity brothers was a college coach. He would come back, and I knew I wanted to be a coach. Since I was 13 years old, I wanted to coach. And he said, that's back before. I mean, the young guys, I don't know, it sounds crazy. It sounds like a cliche, but the young guys have it so much easier than they realize. I mean, you just get on the internet and search something. I mean, we had those old school Nike Coach of the Year books, and you'd have to actually read. You had to really do there was no, videos was just coming out. But he would always say, find out, one concept of the game and really dig into it and study it. Read one article a day is what he told me. And that's what I would do. I'd read the offense one day, the next day I'd read the defense, special teams, coaching philosophy. I read books on, the guys that I respected that got it done back in the day. Tell my age, but I'm not that old, but Bear Bryant and Woody Hayes and Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. Just studying those guys and studying what they did, and I think the thing that I get sometimes is you get these offensive coaches, and I hope I don't hurt nobody's feelings, but all they did was play offense. That's all they did. So now they're going to call plays, and they're going to call these there is no special plays. There are no magic plays. There's plays that beat defenses, but I think you got to know defense to call offense and vice versa. And I don't think I had to do that by necessity. I've called both sides of the ball since 13. And I had to at 13 because my D coordinator left me, right before the season. But the thing, and I say I call it, it's kind of a collaboration of me, the O-line coach, the receiver coach. I mean, it truly is, sometimes it looks like chaos, but, I'm getting a lot of feedback. I got guys watching this guy, and of course, my receiver coach always wants me to throw it. My O-line coach always wants me to run it, but somewhere through all that stuff, I'm able to do, I'm able to find those things that we need to do. But the thing, by calling the defense as well, I know when my defense needs me to get a first down, and when we don't need to take a shot, we don't need to throw it because our defense we're playing great defense. We don't need to put ourselves in a bind, So I think that those try to learn both sides of the ball. Go sit it on a when I was a defensive coordinator only back in Kentucky, we got lit up by the split back veer. So I spent the next winter going to every split back veer conference I could find. And I learned the offense. And when you learn the offense, then it kind of gives you a better opportunity to defend it. But you got to study the game. Watching a football game is not enough. I think it's important, but watching it different. My wife don't understand why I'm rewinding the play back and forth. Now that you got that DVR thing, over and over and over again, and not necessarily coming in with a new play, but really it's just how can we mask this play that we're already doing? How can we take this concept that my kids feel 100% comfortable with and know they can succeed with, and how can I make that look different to the defense? That's just I think that I'm a clinic junkie. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to my first AFCA conference this weekend. I've been a member for 30 years, but I've never been to a conference. So I'm going to get a chance to see one of those. But those guys that I envy those guys that travel with Glacier all over the country. Like I would love to do that. I mean, I know you'd have to speak to do it every now and at least once, but just getting a chance to hear all those guys talk. I mean, I just love the game, and I know Troy's the same way because I'd see him everywhere I went. That's kind of how we got to know each other early on when I was at Rockbridge. But just study the game and don't just. My guys do a great job of Coach Boyce Hall. He'll send me a because they're helping me with that stuff, the whole TikTok and Twitter, but he'll send me a play concept like, hey, look at this twist to how they're running the peel route, those kind of things. And
as a football coach, what should you look for in a wife?
guys, I'm blessed. I mean, my wife, she's incredible. I mean, we started dating when I was a first coach, when I first started coaching. And then we were engaged in my second job. Now, I coached my second coaching job. I was green right out of college, played outside linebacker. I knew what my responsibility was on 71 and 61 and 72 and them other coverages. I had no damn idea what everybody else was doing. But because I was there and the guy left, and took the job at this other place, he's like, you can be the defensive coordinator. I wasn't ready for that. And, but I took it. You know, I was cocky enough or dumb enough, whichever one you want to say is, but to take that job. And we went to a place called in Northwood, it was his hometown. And his father-in-law was the principal. So right away, you know, that's the only reason he got the job. You know how people are. I got heckled. That was their hobby, I reckon, was to get liquored up and come cuss us on Friday night. That's the only thing I can figure. I got heckled in pregame of our first scrimmage. We didn't even play snap because I changed the defense from a 4-man, from an odd front to an even front. And these people were relentless. And my wife would come to those games. And I remember one game I heard, and we were terrible, fellas. We were 0-10. And I can remember watching that clock in that 10th game and just hoping that clock would click out so we can get off that field. And I said, if I ever feel like this again, I'll quit coaching. I said, but I heard my wife, she wasn't my wife then. I heard somebody raising Cain up in the stands. I reckon my wife had got into it with some drunk up there. And my wife's she's a brown belt in karate. She's put me on the ground before, you know. So I mean, great lady. And then I went to Kentucky and we lost our first 4 games. And I didn't know if I was ever going to win a football game. And you know, she just, I mean, she went all over the country with me. And then I'd just come home and say, hey, we're leaving. We're moving to Florida. Or we're moving to Tennessee. And to think back the stuff she put up with, you know, definitely blessed. And yeah, she's all every game, first one out there to meet me. You know, you got to find, and I didn't answer your question at all, but you know, it's lucky to get one like that. But to be honest with you, you really got to find one that, you know, I think I was trying to roundabout kind of tell you, you gotta let them see it. You gotta say, look, this is my life. This is what I'm gonna be doing.
So yeah, in your life, I mean, obviously, like that's definitely a huge thing, you know, having somebody that can support you through all that stuff. But if you had to put your life in like a pie chart, what percentage would you say is football?
Now, my wife knows that she's that I'm married to football. She, you know, I'm married to her, but football is my mistress. She knows that.
So 99%.
Guys, I've been up here all night, many a nights over the past 10 years. She never calls, you know, and I've had, I don't know whether that means I'm not very desirable or what the deal is, but I've had coaches, I've seen the other side of, I've had assistant coaches have their wives come and pull them out of meetings. And I like that, you know, but no, she, you know, she kind of understands what it's about. And, you know, she don't need me to be entertained. You know, she likes to read. We're totally different. She don't have a clue about football. You know, she's kind of annoying to watch a game with because she just asks so many questions. But, you know, she knows when we do well and when we don't. You know, she's our biggest fan. But they got to kind of have some kind of a little bit of independent. You know, if they're kind of a hanger on her, and they got to have you around all the time to, you know, to feel fulfilled. I haven't seen too many of those work. I don't know if there's any of those left out there, but
yeah, no, we're definitely trying to find Lambo one for sure.
I don't need one, man. I don't need one. I'm in love with football. I'm not in love with women right now. They're a distraction.
Well, Coach, we definitely want to say thank you so much for showing up tonight on the show, man. You've definitely enlightened us, and I'm sure everybody watching. There's a lot to learn, and you know, just like you said, get out there and learn more. You know, listen as much as you can, read as much as you can, visit. You know, be on the other side, and that's something just in me in particular, in my personal experience. You know, I played both sides of the ball in high school, both sides of the ball in college. obviously it was all offensive line, but I got a much better understanding of, who I'm trying to block because I was a guy they were trying to block, against, and vice versa, and understanding what the kind of tendencies were. So definitely want to thank you for being here and spending the time with us. Really appreciate it. And, Coach Lambo, what do you think about Coach Billy Mills? I mean,
he is a GOAT. He's one of the best coaches of all time in the high school industry, one of the best in Virginia. So I hope you get another state championship this year.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. This is a good deal. I didn't know y'all were doing this thing.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And before you go, we definitely got to give a shout out to our sponsors. We just recently got sponsored by Culture and Cultivate Wellness. So CBD products, they're the best in the country. We get them tested everywhere. The number one testing facility in Virginia. You can check them out at cultureva.com, culture with a K, or cultivatewellness.com. They do shit nationwide. Coach Lambo, talking about the other best product in America.
Sponsored by Dude Wipes, the best product in America to wipe your rear ends, 35% larger, 99% water materials, and it's also fragrance free. Please wipe that booty.
Well, Totem Pole Nation, thank you again. Please comment below, like and share this video for sure. Coach Billy Mills, it's been awesome talking with you, man. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You have a wonderful night and Happy New Year to you.
You too. You too.